Good afternoon, ponies, and welcome to my presentation. The presentation we're going to cover today is about organising pony meetups. So essentially for in-person, online, and essentially how to set a meetup for any generation is what we're going to be covering here today. So I hope every pony here has had a good convention so far. And I don't know how many of you are from the United Kingdom, how many of you are from Europe, from the United States, Americas, Canada, or even out from the Far East. So if I say good morning or good afternoon, please don't take offense of your time zone, because I'm sure we've got people joining this from every time zone we can think of at the moment. I hope everyone has been spending a lot of money in the vendor hall. I've got to say my wallet is significantly lighter than it was this morning. I made the mistake of doing a quick tally before I did my presentation. So if I sound a bit hesitant in my voice, it's because I realise now that I'm down £400 with the vendors here so far today. So I'm slowly stopping spending stuff as I visit each electronic vendor store. So just for clarification, we've got ourselves a staged questions chat on the Discord. You can put any questions you want there and I'll try and answer them towards the end. I may not spot them during the presentation itself. Okay. We've also, of course, got a stage chat where you're welcome to talk freely about anything you wish regarding the presentation. So feel free to have a chat amongst yourselves as I go through delivering the presentation. So what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about meets, social events for people into My Little Pony. We're covering both in person and online. And I'm going to really outline how to get one going and how to set one up. I'm the person who got going the Lancashire Bronies. I'm also the chair of a convention, but I'm going to be teaching you how to essentially deliver a meet with no money and not necessarily having to have great organisational skills, just how to get something going and how to get people talking to each other. That's what we're going to be covering off. So with Lancashire Bronies, for example, and hopefully you can see a picture of this, you'll see the sort of fun that we've had in the past. And here you see a meet that was underway. And this was recorded at Dyson Donuts, our venue the picture was back in 2018. And yes, that is Trump chocolate that you see on the screen there. And you will put, I'll say, wasn't treated very well, strangely enough, but there was Trump chocolate there. And as you can see, we had pony stacking, we had card games being played, and we were enjoying coffees, sandwiches, and things like that, and having chats and having fun events. And that's what these meets are about, having fun, getting out and enjoying yourself, and meeting fellow ponies. And this is part of it here because these sort of events can fill the gap between the conventions. UK PonyCon's great, GRIEFISH is great. Well, 6 months between the two, you need something to keep going, talk to people and get engaged. In other words, it actually is a very, very good meetings to have, to have these meetings out there. So I'm going to be going through the presentation here and hopefully go through, but one thing just to bear in mind, I'm going to be starting off by actually dealing with physical meets first. We are going to concentrate on online meets, but we're going to do physical meets first. And the reason being is the physical meets are the traditional form. Hopefully, we will be over our current situation soonish, and we can get back to the physical meets and people being able to meet locally again freely and enjoy, as we just saw in the pictures here, a cup of coffee and a chat in a friendly environment. However, at the moment, of course, we have online, and we're going to cover online later because many of the issues that apply to online meets also apply to the physical meets. So as a result, we are going to actually deal with all of how to deliver a physical meet first, then move on how to actually set one up online. So you can actually attend, to mean work out how to manage and run and attend both online meets as well as physical ones. So why would you want to run a meet? Well, there has to be a reason why. And these are some of the most common reasons that you see in front of you for people to actually run a physical meet. You might have friends online and you want to meet them face to face to get them to see and talk to you and, see what they look like, gauge off and enjoy chatting with people. You might want to do it as a meet to find new like-minded people. You might want to advertise on out and get new people to join and to socialize with. You might want to make new friends. It's a great way of making friends. Many of my friends I got through the meets that I set up and organized. Um, and also, of course, you have a fun time. You can certainly have a great period of time having a chat with people, going out with people, doing various types of events. I'm going to come to the different types shortly. And it also provides a good, shall we say, bridge between the conventions. Now, we all know that we all attend conventions like, well, obviously you're attending UK PonyCon online and also, of course, attending, of course, events like GRIEFISH and also Comic Cons and things like that. But it gives you a good thing to link in between. And it also gives you the opportunity to meet people you can then travel with, talk with, and socialize at the events. You can also use it as a mechanism to actually try and recruit new people into the fandom. You'll be amazed at how many people that we attracted into the fandom through running a meet, particularly by advertising in the local venue and people coming along saying, hey, I saw this advert here and I've watched My Little Pony online. I didn't know people met up and there were people round in the area who are also into the subject. So this provides a great way of actually getting new people to join in. So among the reasons why you'd want to run a physical meet. But you've also got to ask yourself a question. Do you actually need to run them? Now, one of the things you do encounter out there are people not knowing there are existing meets available. It's happened twice with the Lancashire Bronies that I've spotted people putting notices up. Oh, I want to start running a pony meet in Lancashire. And they were unaware of the pre-existing meet that we had in place. There may be meets out there and you may need to do a bit of digging to find them. Now, it's worth noting that these meets, they could be, they could be well advertised and you just look in the wrong place. Not everyone is on every type of social media. Once meets get going, the users tend to coalesce around certain media types for communication. Lancashire Bronies is no different. We use the Telegram chat room and most people seem to be part of that Telegram. And so as a result, we tend not to cover all the other methods of advertising as well. So for example, Twitter, for example, we tend not to use. So you need to do a little bit of searching for that. We're going to cover how you can actually find a meet, an existing meet if there is one out there, and so you can track it down. You need to be aware that there are local meets and there are also specialist online meets as well. Local meets are great for things like, for example, My Little Pony or particular types of fandom, large fandom, but for very specialist niche fandoms or very specialist niche areas, for example, of My Little Pony, you might want to do a search and find out that those are only a few people involved in, say, UK, USA, Canada, and whatever, but they may have a meet set up online for everyone across the piece. So keep an eye out for that. Also be aware there's different types of meets out there. There are weekly meets. This is actually the most traditional brony type of meet that has been in place, which was set up very commonly when a lot of the fandom was at universities, etc. They essentially set up the meet because they were students and therefore it became a regular weekly event. Not so many of them now, we'll come on to them shortly, but there's also monthly meets. There's also irregular meets. Now you notice I put pre-COVID on there because obviously, of course, at this moment in time, there has been a significant disruption to the physical meets that are occurring. I'm not aware of physical meets currently occurring at the moment, but hopefully the number of these will get re-going after the COVID situation has got a bit better. So keep an eye out. There may be people who've already got a meet that you can tag onto, that you can make use of and join in. And most of these meets are actually willing to accept new people in. Now, I put up on the screen there, you might not be aware of some people like to prevent people finding out. That's because they've got a group of friends in the group and they're always a bit worried about sometimes new people coming in who might not fit. And so sometimes you might need to do a little bit digging to actually access some of the meets, which have become more groups of friends meeting than being open meets. But most of them, and I've got to say, are normally willing to allow people to come along and join on in. They might not necessarily just be advertising as well as they were in the past. So how do you find out? Well, here's a way to actually take a look and find them. Now, the first one we've got on the top right, which you'll see listed, is UK of Equestria. UK of Equestria is a web forum for bronies, not multi-generations, I may add, where a number of meets are listed. And you will see them listed on out there. And I have took a quick look at the chat. And yes, for example, the Worcestershire meet, for example, you will see up there, quite clearly listed up there, which is one example of the meets which is underway in the United Kingdom. There's different ones across the UK that have been running. And you can often find details of them to actually go in, find out where they're meeting, times and dates, and particular contact who you can talk to and communicate with to find out any more additional details, what you need to do, where you need to go, and so you can actually team up with the people concerned. There's also some other websites out there that can actually be quite helpful in tracking down the meets. Now, the one on the left, the next one down you see is the UK regular meets, and I put active in 2018. You will see the 2019 version, which was able to confirm the meets in 2019 one, and this is on brony.uk. That site outlined the different, bronies.uk. That one outlined all the essentially meets that were operational, that were running during that particular period, and who you could contact and where you could link to find them. So you can find meets out there. Now, I've got to admit, when I'm on brownies.uk, I didn't find all the meets in the UK. I did miss a couple. Sometimes it does take a bit of digging to try and find your local meet, but you've got a good chance of there being one not a million miles away from you. At least they'll be able to signpost you to bronies or other people that you want to talk to. Now, obviously, of course, I can't speak for the other generation fans because I got into My Little Pony with Gen 4. So I'm not a, well, got into My Little Pony technically with Gen 1 at one point, but that's a long story back. But I'm not someone who's associated with the earlier gens and the communications. But for the Gen 4 communities, there's quite a few existing meets out there which you'll be able to track down and find. There are other sites which will give you maps and other capabilities. Now, UK of Equestria used to provide a map, which was very helpful for me of tracking down members on the map to try and find out where they were so that I could communicate them to let them know I was trying to organise a local meet to round them up. That map is no longer there. I know that in some of the Facebook groups, there is one which details a number of people across the country which have been mapped on out. The map you see on the screen there is the one from Equestria Daily. Now, Equestria Daily do have a map of brony and pony meets which are available around the world, but there are problems with this map. The main problem is it's very much out of date. If you were to take a look at many of the links on the map, you will find that the dead meets, they no longer exist. An example is this one here, which I found, which I had got removed from the latest version of the map from them, which was one from Lancaster University. Now, the Lancaster University Meet was active during the early years of the fandom, and essentially it was running between 2013 and 2015 in terms of its operation. Then it pretty much shut up shop as the people involved with it graduated and left the university. Some of them operated with the book convention, some of them worked with book, and some of them moved off around the country, but some will still remained local. And it's worth noting that I was able to get in touch with the follow-up society that absorbed them, the Anime Society at Lancaster University, and was able to recruit one member to the Lancashire Bronies group via that old meet. So it was useful for me to track people down for recruitment purposes, but it also does give you a warning that just because there's a website up there, which is linked off a map, which says there's a next meet, which is powered by an automated script saying that people were meeting at a particular date and time, doesn't mean that they will be meeting there at that date and time. So if you have a look at that, you will find, you can often get, shall we say, what's the phrase, some problem in terms of locating and finding meets. There are other ones out there across the thing. And if you do a search out in various groups, particularly in the Facebook groups or other groups, you will find more details of meets, and you might be able to find a local meet that already exists. But if you can't find one, why not start one? It's not as difficult as it sounds. You're not going to be attempting to run a new UK PonyCon or new GRIEFISH Isles, which is a lot of work. If you just keep it simple and operate very, very basically, you can actually produce a great fun meet for a lot of people to enjoy. So you're going to run it. How many people do you need to have a meet? Well, 2. I'm going to tell you, when I organised the first Lancashire Bronies meet, I wasn't certain anyone was going to turn up. Some people had told me they were going to turn up, and I didn't necessarily believe it. But I went along, I got my venue, sorted it out, went ahead, and I was amazed that people turned up, and actually a lot more turned up than they even communicated to me they were interested in coming. A lot of people just don't let you know that they're going to turn up and come to the meets. So give it a try. You've got nothing to lose. No special skills are needed. No money is needed. The venue, I found a good venue, and it didn't cost me anything to host the meeting in it. They were glad to get the custom coming in. You just need to think carefully and do some planning. The best lesson I can give you all is probably, if you are holding it in a shared venue, have something up that's quite clear pony when the people wander in, because otherwise they could wander in, not see person that they something related to pony, and then wander out because people might feel a bit embarrassed about asking. So just make sure you've got something there, and when people come in, it's quite clear it is a pony meet. They know who to approach and who to talk to. So just think about it carefully, do a little planning, and essentially go for it, and make sure it is properly advertised. And anyone who's run a meet in the past will tell you that over the years, all the work you do and everything else on this one here, it's getting started, which is the most tricky thing to do. It's the hardest thing at all, that skirt of actually running your first meet, and will anyone turn up at all? But let me tell you, people will come and they will travel. It's not unknown for Lancashire Bronies to get people from across the country. And I say for the first couple of years, we always had someone at least from Scotland and London attending the event. We had people coming from all over, and you'll find a lot of people are willing to travel very long distances. So if you're going to organise a meet, there is something you do need to do first of all, and that is decide what type of meet you are going to run. Themed meets, MLP events such as season premiere, or for example anniversary, and this is the 10th anniversary of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic today. Maybe it's seeing a specialist thing such as a film or things like that. Good things to get people to think about coming along to your event and provide an anchor around your event running. You might want to do it around a convention meetup. You might want to set up a regular meet, weekly, monthly, whatever. Or you might want to do a regular meet. Think very carefully about the type of meets that you want to organize and how you want to set it up and how you want it to work. Like I say, these things can be fun. We're going to go through each of these type of meets now in quite a bit of detail, explaining how to set them up. And you're going to see a few different examples of meets which have been set up across the piece, both from myself, Lancashire Bronies, some of the other pony meets across the UK, and also from UK Bronies and Pegasisters. You're going to see another type of one which they've organised as well. So without further ado, let's have a look and let's go and have a look at the first type of meet. This is a themed meet. Right, now, theme meets can be anything which is anchored around any sort of theme or activity. So in the background, you'll see an example of one where essentially it's housewarming. Why not go round, get costumes, go round and essentially, this is one for Manchester, and go around and have a, I thought this was a good one to pick for, particularly for SpookyCon. Why not go around and enjoy a Halloween-based experience and out there? And this is a kind of meet that happens to be, something that you can do on your own if no one turns up. So you publish a schedule, publish engage things where you're going to go and what you're going to do, and get people to come and meet up and enjoy it. Here we see one that's 7 bronies when they merged with the Cardiff ones, which was one to go into Caerphilly Castle, a day out in Caerphilly and having a look around the place. This was organised by Coal Dust a while back, and you will see, for example, that this was based around people travelling there out of town, travelling in, meeting up, having a look, and many people were going for Bristol, if you know what I mean, to go and visit the castle and have a look around it. These sort of events, let's say, can be fun. They're good social events. They're the kind of event where the person doesn't have to be into My Little Pony in order to be able to come along. And this can be very useful if you're bringing along a partner or something like that. And particularly if you've got another half that wants to go shopping or something like that whilst you're at the event. So it's a very good way of actually getting people engaged and involved. Dare I say, these events are usually not pony related, but they are for people in the community. And like I say, they're a great way to make friends. Now, in this current environment, you could, of course, consider doing an outdoor treasure hunt, for example. And it might be a way to hold a physical meeting while still performing some form of social distancing, dependent on lockdown rules, of course. So you've still got an option to run this type of event, even now, with our current situation. Like I say, these are good fun. And we've done a few things like this with Lancs Bronies, but most of ours have been related around other types of events. Here we see a different type one, which is linking around an MLP event. And this being the old season premieres, when the new season of My Little Pony was screening, for example. So here we see the last Manchester meet, which was the old Manchester Brony ones. There's now one called Manchester B Bronies that's taken over, which you'll see more later on, where they did a season 7 premiere. We did one of Lancashire Bronies for season 8 and also for season 9. Season 8 was delivered in our Dice and Donuts venue in Preston. Season 9 one was delivered in Lancaster. And what you've got around these is you've got a meeting that's anchored around the core element of essentially come and watch the premiere, watch it with the ponies, enjoy what's going on. You'll also notice that there's other things on the agenda as well for the one on the right, and there was on the one on the left as well as not displayed, such as other activities running around the side, because having an event running, you probably want to provide some sort of other activities to keep people interested or give something to do if they wish whilst watching the event. So as you can see here, we had on here egg swap because it was just before Easter, collectible card game, top trumps, etc. And these were options for people to run while people were chatting in a venue with coffee and donuts, etc., and enjoying watching the pony, making it a good social, fun-based event. And there's not a lot of organisation required for these. Bring along some card games, bring along some, you know what I mean? Bring along some entertainment, make sure you're able to display the video. But you're able to build it around that. You could set it around an MLP event such as going to watch the film. Done that as well when the film was on. And particularly with Gen 5 coming up, that may be an opportunity for later in 2021 to actually watch the My Little Pony film, which is scheduled for later next year at this point in time. So that would provide a good opportunity to hold a meet, to get out there and have some fun around it. There's other types of meets you can run as well. These are around convention meetups. One thing I'm pretty certain is your local town won't have its own pony convention. Okay, if you live in Manchester and Nottingham, we know that's not true. You do have your own local pony convention. But most towns and cities in the United Kingdom don't have them. And for people listening around the world, again, most towns and cities don't have them. So if you were to say in Germany, some cities have them, many cities don't, because My Little Pony is a very specialist fandom. Most towns and cities in the United Kingdom and United States and in Europe tend to have some form of Comic-Con running. Things that deal with multi-fandom meets. At any such of those, you're going to find people who are into My Little Pony. So why not organise a meet tagged onto it? So here we have one where we organised a specialist one for going up to a pony convention called Ponies on a Train, where we tried to get people going up to the pony convention to join together in a train carriage, which is what we did. And on the right one, you will see regarding the Comic-Con, we arranged a meetup at the Comic-Con itself. And people met at the Comic-Con, we met up before it, and we met up after it as well. So it gave people ability to actually go along, go around the Comic-Con with people interested in pony stuff, and enjoy the time there. If you let the Comic-Con know, they might even give you some publicity. This can be a very good way to ensure the fact that people are able to find your meet and able to actually essentially team up with you. You can also tip off the vendors as well. There's going to be people interested in My Little Pony, so they bring along some pony merch as well, which can be useful. Well, not useful for your wallet's health, but useful for everyone's enjoyment of actually being able to actually get hold of some additional pony merch for themselves. And it's no secret that a lot of suppliers at Preston Comic-Con do seem to stock quite a bit of pony merch, and we're often notified, and we notified a few of them in advance that we're going to be there. So just letting people know can be very, very useful in actually getting essentially, additional people to know and recognize and join on. And you'll also get people at the Comic-Con, if you go along and do any cosplay in particular, who will go, ponies, and join on in, and particularly if you just wear t-shirts or meet up and have a chat. And it also gets over that sometimes lost sensation you get at Comic Cons of not actually knowing what to do sometime, because often, like say, you go along, it's a pile of vendors, there's some fandoms, and you're not too necessarily interested in all of them, but it gives you something extra to do and some extra people to meet up with and to socialize with. The regular meets are the traditional brony meet. And like I say, many of these used to be weekly. Some of them still technically are. The Merseyside one kept going weekly and has done right up until the start of COVID. and this was alternating Saturdays and Sundays each and every week. It drifted more away from pony to a group of geeky friends, but they kept running. The London meets have also essentially kept kind of running as well, but you often find them moving away from being not pure weekly to being slightly less regular as the attendees get a bit mature and move on. Birmingham Meet's a prime example of that. It's no longer a weekly meet and has moved more to irregular meeting. So you tend to find that the time gaps of the meets, let's say, have changed away from being weekly gatherings to actually getting to be more irregular. And it's worth noting that more recent meets that have been put in place have generally been of the more irregular type. So if you take a look at these here, you'll see the fact here we've got an example of two of the more recent ones, the Manchester Bee Bronies, for example, and also, of course, the Lancashire Bronies. Neither of these tried to set up on a weekly basis. The Manchester Bee Bronies did kind of want to go on a monthly basis and kind of meant that is the best way of putting it. The Lancashire Bronies went every 2 to 3 months. So it's a semi-regular number of meets that are in place. And let's say these are the more modern kind of meets, and people are willing to travel a distance to this type of meet. And it's fair to say that if you went to Manchester Bee Bronies, you may even find people attending from Yorkshire to the meets in both Lancashire and Yorkshire. You know, people will travel to these meets, but they would not be willing to travel a long distance for a regular weekly meet. So you'll often find the fact that many attendees have come from out of the area to actually meet up, chill and chat. And like I say, you've got to put on a few variety of things for people to do, but also be prepared to accept that many people will turn up and actually do nothing. There'll be people come along and just sit and enjoy a coffee and drink, listening to everyone and not really contributing. There's some people come along who will just sit and draw at these meetings. You need, when you provide activities, one of the things which you need to be careful about is trying to force people to do activities. And a mistake I made at the start, I know the fact that when people come, they want to chill out, and that's why you see on that list there, chill with ponies has been one of the entries for Lancashire Bronies there. Make the games available, but Legacy and Unstable Unicorns, which we had there, have a PlushCon available, plan, but essentially the main thing was sit, chill, talk and chat. It's one of the key things that you have for the meets. So that's a planning a regular type of meet. You can go for even more irregular. This is the UK Brony and Pegasisters Mega Meet. Now this one's a bit different. They charged for entry to cover the costs and try to run it like a mini convention. Now I know Amethyst Shade is on the chat channel, and I'm going to tell you now that organising that type of event is significantly more stressful than trying to run a general meetup. Anything where people are paying to come and attend, you've got an obligation to them and you feel you've got an obligation to them. It also introduces commercial partners that you're going to have more problems and time you've got to involve dealing with. Also, many people won't want to tell you they're coming, so do you want to gamble on your funds and literally have people pay cash when they turn up? If they don't, then those people who don't want to tell you coming won't book and they won't come. And that will hit your funds quite a lot. And not everyone is willing to pay to attend a meet. They're having to pay money once they're at a meet, when I say willing to pay in advance. And so it can get very tricky organising these. And this actually was 13 months ago. It was a great fun time. But like I say, from an organisation perspective, you're really moving into a mini convention at that point in time. And it's the only people who can really tell you how stressful conventions are the convention chairs. And if you really want to know that, join the panel tomorrow. and I'm sure we'll all be happy to tell you about the stress and the problems that you can undergo while running a full convention. So you can organise one-offs and get involved in this one here, but there is a lot more pressure attached around it when organising and running such an event. So how do you sort out a physical meet? Well, you need a venue. You need to plan your content, advertise, and plan for things going wrong. They're pretty much the elements. Trust me, all are essential. Particularly number 4, things go wrong all the time. That's the golden rule. It's an absolutely golden rule. So if you're going to do this, so let's go through these and stage by stage. And pretty much for online meets, it's pretty much similar. And we're going to go for online in a minute or two, but venue is obviously your software, content still the same, make details public, advertising still the same, and plan for things going wrong, yeah, likewise the same. So this is not just for physical meets, it is also for online meets as well. Venue. Now, we had a great venue in Dyson Donuts. It was a brilliant one. If you have a look at the map on the right, you'll see the yellow blob where it was, and you'll see the train station with direct links to Scotland, Liverpool, Manchester, and London. 2 hours straight there, even from the most remote locations. Easy to get to. It didn't cost us anything to hire the venue to get the table and space in place. It had good food, had drinks, was available. They ended up being stocking cider and MLP merch for us. And so it was a great place to meet, and it was a geeky cafe. Geek venues are often a great location to hold meets in. So gaming cafes are brilliant if you can organise them. If you can't get a gaming cafe, try and look for a student-friendly venue. Something that's normally used to deal with students tends to be like quiet on a Saturday afternoon, and you can actually hold a meeting there. So you can often find that they're willing to accommodate you. You need to think about the clientele of the venue and how appropriate it is for the hosting. I've still got nightmares of an event I once organised 20 odd years ago for not this fandom, but another one where it turned out to be a venue where the National Front met. Now, most of you probably don't know what the National Front is, but let's just say the fact my attendance group was not exactly from that sort of activity. So as a result here, it was a little bit tense holding that one in the venue. So think of venues which are likely to be friendly and you're not likely to get disruption and are going to be welcoming for the type of people who are going to turn up who are interested in My Little Pony. But again, think of location. You've got to think of these things when planning it. Accessibility is also really important. Dyson Donuts was great for us. When it shut down, had to move to the station hotel next door upstairs, which was not an accessible venue. And of course, we never smuggled wheelchairs upstairs in violation of firewall rules, fire rules. That would never happen, of course. But you need to think very, very carefully about your venues. After Dyson Donuts closed, we found one in Lancaster that was accessible, run by the same people, which also closed down on us. And then we moved on, and last Christmas we held our Christmas meeting in the Friendship Meeting House, so that we had an accessible venue. And earlier this year we moved back to the Station Hotel, and that was our last meeting in February before COVID shut us down on physical meets. So you need to think very carefully about your meeting venue and get a good venue. A venue can make a meet. What else? Well, you need to plan your content. Games. Are you going to be different each meet or not? Well, same thing. Or do you really want to play this collectible card game every time? I would say yes. Not everyone would say that though. Do you want to go shopping? Have a meal? Plushies? Episodes? Art? Think of what we just experienced here with UK PonyCONLINE. Think of all the sessions had and all the fun people had drawing along earlier with Stormblaze, etc. All of these things are very interesting to actually get doing. What about other geeky stuff? ponies are also interested in other things. If you caught the previous panel on, for example, furries and the fur elements, and you might want to link up with local fur group, for example, for a joint meet, have a day out, visit markets, etc. These are all things that you can do on a schedule, and pretty much that's what we've done. Lancashire Bronies, we kind of like mixed it up and thrown different things in, rotating in games like Game of Life, Pony Monopoly, this sort of thing into the mix. So there's different things on while people still come along, chat and chill. So plan your content out, have a rough schedule, and let people enjoy themselves. Okay. What else do you need to do? Well, you need to advertise. Now, for those in the UK, UK of Equestria, obviously if you're in the Czech Republic or something like that, that's not a great forum to put it in, but there are certain Euro Bronies groups which are highly useful for advertising in. Facebook groups, search them out, and you might find sometimes old inactive groups you can put a message into, which they'll be happy to advertise, and some of the people who've drifted out the fandom would pick up on it and would actually go on it and pick it up, and you know, it's worth doing it. Search on Telegram, find the groups, put the adverts in. Search and find all the local users and let them know. You know, do a search, find out the people who are local to you, were into Pony or still are, and let them know, and so they can let their friends know. Find other groups that can promote. Fairy Communities one, various comic book groups and etc. are good ones to be done. A card in the window or card up on a notice board can attract people. The venue itself can be useful. We placed an advert up in the venue itself, and that was able to promote it. With Lancashire Bronies, I actually distributed cards at Brony Scott as a great way of actually getting people to actually come along. And picked up people going, what? Local person? Well, to me, Lancashire, into My Little Pony. Wow, I didn't know anyone about that. And I managed to actually get people, first lot of people interested at that particular by handing the cards out. Let your friends know. Get a friend to come along with you. They might not be into Pony, but you know, they'll come and prop you up and help you out as you do the meeting. That is very important to do that. So let your friends know, let everyone else know, and just circulate, because people, once they know, will be interested in coming to your meet, and you will be able to get people to come. First meet we had, lowest meet I ever had, I think, of Lancashire Bronies was, I think, 8 to 9. Was it 12? I can't remember the exact one. And the highest number I ever had attend was 30. But we need to be aware. Things don't always go right. Venue cancels and shuts down on you. Oh, this has happened to us. What's your fallback? We've literally turned up to a venue and found it shut. Had to put notice on the door and try and arrange a fallback position. The best way you can do is try and find an alternate venue that you can make use of in case of emergency. Have some mechanism of trying to raise a notice out to everyone. Make sure you've got a phone on, so if you've advertised on UK Equestria, you can put a message out on UK Equestria, you've moved to a different location. Same also with the Facebook as well. You need to do this in case things go wrong, because they can and do happen. Something like the venue, the person who's supposed to open the venue in the morning happens to have overslept and not woken up and opened the shop in time. We've had that one before now. There's all things that happen as well. So it's not just that's closed down on you. It can sometimes be a minor disruption. If the weather's bad, what do you do? Is it shut off by snow or whatever? Do you cancel? You need to make it clear what you're going to have to do in those situations. If you're ill, who will run the meet? Now, first meet, this might be a problem, but afterwards, appoint a deputy. Let someone else know that if something goes wrong and you're not there, someone will take over. And pretty much you can probably contact, once you've run a meet a couple of times, you can probably contact some people, say, hold the fort whilst I'm away and I'll be along later, or I can't make it this time. Could you please run the meet the best you can? And essentially, people understand when things don't go wrong. And don't panic about it. You got to realize you can't look after everyone all the time. Things will go bad. Now, this will happen with both physical meets and online meets. You've got to plan for stuff going wrong and have a fallback position for it. Hope for the best, but plan for the worst. So, online meets. Spent a lot of time talking about physical meets. What's the difference? The answer is not as much as you may think. Look at this Lancashire Brony virtual meet and compare it to the ones we had up previously. We're talking a drawing competition, optional playing of a role-playing game, didn't actually happen actually, but we had it available for people to do, plan attendance at pony events, a virtual plush con, and people chatting. Very much the same format. The difference is this wasn't a physical venue. This was, of course, a virtual venue that was in place. So as you can tell here, we've got the meeting there, but it's different method of attendance. Online meets are slightly different. They've got a wider geographic appeal. Some people are willing to travel hundreds of miles to Lancashire Bronies. Most people weren't. If you organise a virtual meet, there's nothing stopping people anywhere in the world attending it. This is UK PonyCon. Though UK PonyCon does get people attending from the USA and Europe, most people don't. I'm going to bet there's people attending and listening to this presentation now who wouldn't normally travel over to the UK to attend UK PonyCon. And the reason they're listening is because it's available and accessible to them remotely. So if you go for a specialist topic, you've got the opportunity of an online meet to deliver something specialist and niche that will interest people wider than just your local environment. Think very carefully about the time zone when you do this. If you were to take a look at UK PonyCon and the people who attended at the opening ceremony compared to those who are listening now, there'll be more people from the USA listening now than there will have done at the opening ceremony because of the time zones. It's no secret that the discussions which are going on at 6 p.m. with the VA actors on the other stage, and the time that was picked is because, of course, of a time zone correlation, which is suitable for both people from Europe, UK, and from the USA or Canada, in this case, to join on in. In other words, it's a sweet spot in terms of the timings for people to meet up and to discuss. So think very carefully about your time zone if you want to organise a specialist topic meeting and the geography which you're going to deliver it from. Think very carefully on the technology that you use and what platform you're going to use as well in order to make it open. Now, the reason for this, and in case you're aware, we're running into the final parts of the presentation here, just to let everyone know here. So there will be questions coming up, and there is 5 to 10 minutes worth of time available for questions here at the end. So feel free to load the questions into the Acela stage questions chat. I will be getting onto the questions in about 5 minutes time. So if you want to get the questions loaded up, you can do so. What you need to bear in mind is not everyone has every type of technology, Twitter or Facebook. Not everyone uses them. You need to be aware that different digital platforms are better for different things. So be careful when you organize an online meet that you just don't go with one single platform. Always plan, and remember what I mentioned about stuff going wrong. Make sure you've got more than one because this will help people join the meeting. You're going to find if you ever get a group of 5 or 6 people together on a video chat, someone can't get the mic working and someone can't get the video working and someone can't even join the video chat at all. Okay, and 2 people, everything will work fine. That's pretty much the golden rule. If you've got more than one technology in place, you've got a case of people still being able to join, at least in part. And also, if you've got more than one technology to use, that means if a platform goes down, like Microsoft did with its Teams a couple of weeks ago, you're not going to have your entire meeting ruined by the technology. So plan for that, work around that. So what technology can you use? You can use a commercial platform. Zoom, for example, is one good one for use for video conferencing, but it's pricey. It does have a free version, but it's limited to meetings of 45 minutes. Yeah, that's going to be handy. You know, it's okay for a short one, but not for a long one. There are some other commercial ones which are really good, which can offer you a free trial, which are excellent. And there's GoToMeeting, for example, where you can get a free trial and it offers you loads of facilities and loads of capabilities. If you organize a one-off meet, that would be great. But if it's going to be a regular meet, it's going to cost you in order to actually run it. Okay, so that is going to be a problem. Okay, so so that's why you've got with commercial platforms, but you don't need to pay. Here's Jitsi, which is essentially a free Zoom-like equivalent, which gives you more capability, and it comes with phone and video options. The advantage of some of these commercial offerings is they can offer phone access in different regions, so people can dial by the mobile phone if they wish, rather than joining by video chat. But Jitsi does the same one as well. It does just as Zoom works. So you can hold a full meeting on that with no time limit. So it's worthwhile looking and having a play around and looking at the technologies that you can make use of. That's one of them. Of course, I've already mentioned another one, which is what people are going to put the questions up here for today, which of course is Discord. Many of you already have Discord, and those of you watching the presentation on Twitch might not have, but everyone asking the questions on Discord obviously does have, and it's available and able to be used, and it also offers video and audio conferencing capability, and it's available there for use, and it's ideal for breakouts and other such meetings as well, and it's very easy to manage, and again, it's something that you can set up very quickly, very easily, and without needing to go and spend a lot of money like you would do, say, on Zoom. So be aware that there are technologies out there for delivering it. And pretty much your virtual technology is like picking a venue for physical meet. It's about finding technologies that suit your users and the people who need to use it. So Discord's great for the internet connected environment, but it doesn't offer a phone in route to my knowledge. Now, it might be a case that you have to have someone who's phoning in rather than actually getting a video link in. So think carefully about your attendees, where they are, what they are, etc., and think what you might be suitable for them for offering a technology solution. And pretty much you're able to get your online platform sorted on out. The only thing I've got to state is that be careful what appears. Online, and particularly if you advertise any online links for people to click on, attracts spammers and spam bots. You can get people joining in trying to fish for information. You can get people joining in to essentially sell you cryptocurrency, etc. All sorts of things can happen on this one. And you can also have some people who are just disruptive, seen your advert and just want to cause trouble. They would never dare turn up physically to a meet and cause trouble, but they get a bit braver behind a keyboard and a screen. So have someone available to moderate. Make sure you know the controls in your technology so you can kick people out if need be. And you need again to accept that technology won't work all the time perfectly. It's part of the reasons why on Twitch I pre-recorded this video presentation just in case something went wrong here this afternoon, so the organizers could play back that video of the presentation, so you all would not lose on out should I suffer, say for example, IT failure here at my end. So if you do this, may you have good luck with your meetings, and may you have fun, and may you end up, if you're organizing meetings, something running for many years to come. Likes Bronies has run from 2016. It's amazing in terms of think of how many years we've been operating, but it's it's one of these things here. It's like celebration of the time that we've been running, and I've got to say, you make a lot of friends along the way by organizing a meet. It's like organizing a party. It's a lot of work, but you can get a lot of joy out of it as well. because it's all about having fun. So now we'll be on to questions, along with a little shameless plug up on the screen for GRIEFISH Isles, which is now next year, thanks to COVID, which is the Manchester convention, but I'm sure you all know about that one anyway. So I'm now going to be going on to have a look at the stage questions in the Ocellus stage questions section and see if I can find any questions. And I have currently just one question lodged. The question is, some people like to prevent people finding out. For some groups, this is a safeguarding thing to prevent bullies and trolls showing up uninvited. The meetup on that. Exactly. I totally agree, Amethyst Shade, that that's part of the reasons for it. People, like I say, want to make sure the right kind of people turn up to the meet. You also mentioned that UK Brony and Pegasisters have an updated monthly meet. Map and engagement, and you do your best to keep that list in place, and that is also a good place to hunt and find for Gen 4 based meets. So do we have any more questions? Gonna have a fist typing. What's my favorite kind of meat? I'd say my okay. I would say my favorite kind of meat, as in MEET, to handle preemptively the next question, which is in the chat, is the kind of meet where a lot of people get together and have fun. Is the best way of putting it. I've got to say, I probably prefer a themed like meet, one going out and actually, doing something, visiting something, etc. Those are the type of ones that I would generally prefer than the ones which are necessarily just indoor. So I tend to prefer those ones. I tend to find organising something like a premiere a bit more stressful because I've got the technology to get working and the operations and functions like that. But I tend to find that one going out and going round and seeing something interesting like a market or castle or something like that, they're the ones which I enjoy more than any other type of meeting. Next one, I'm going to skip Patrick Rodbury's question and go to Liberator's one. How do you deal with the weird Cumbrian girl who shows up at your meets? You mean who's called Liberace? Amazingly, I've not managed to get rid of her yet, so I don't think I have managed to deal with it. Only joking. The key thing, I'm going to reinterpret that question, and that is, how do you deal with all the different types of people who turn up to your meets? I think the key thing is understanding. People are into pony and therefore going to be your friends is what they do return up to the meets. Everyone is different. Everyone wants to do different things. Like I say, some people just want to sit there and soak up the atmosphere. Some want to enjoy art and enjoy engagement. Some people like to talk. Some people like to play games. It's just to allow people to do what they enjoy doing. Really, is the way I deal with the people at the meets, etc. And if anyone is unhappy, see what I can do to help out. That's what I generally try and do at the meets. A couple more questions. Okay, from Jamis. If you go to Meetup a convention as an attendee, how does these change for you since you started to organise similar events? Well, I tend to try and have to resist spending all my time promoting my events and meetings, which something I have to hold myself back from on that. I think once you've organised meets and you gain an understanding of how difficult it is. And I've got to say, I've organised meets for a very long time, probably longer than many of the people on the chat have been alive, is the best way of putting it. So I've organised meets and I've had things go wrong all over the place. Okay, so I have literally had problems all over the place historically, and I've had issues at conventions which, if I was to put in a book, A, you probably wouldn't believe, and B, I get in deep trouble for putting them in. So, and I've got to say that, you know, when I go to meets, I'm always looking for what's going wrong behind the scenes and everything else. And I know that any meetup, any convention is generally organized chaos of something going wrong, with the organizers essentially patching over everything across the meets and trying the best. I've got to say, if you ever organize a meet, you can be very appreciative of the effort others do to organize meets. And I've got to say, I think it makes you enjoy as it being an attendee more. Okay, I've noticed Jess is pointing out that, okay, that's time. Okay. Old Tech, do you find it hard not to run an event you're going to as a guest? Do you find it hard not to run an event you are going to as a guest? Oh, you mean take over and run the event? It has happened a few times where I've stepped in to help out at other people's events, but you need to bear in mind this is other people's events. I would never dream to try and step in and to help out UK PonyCon. If they want the help, they'll ask for it. So I think you've got to accept that. Funny story that something went wrong at a meetup or convention you organised. Funny story. Okay, you want me to tell you one about the two terrorist organisations and the SWAT team? That was a good funny story, but that is for another day. Yeah, I'm not joking, by the way, with that one. That's the one which is the most bizarre thing that I've ever had in my history. Again asked, which seems to be a common question to everybody, who is best pony? Okay. Best, believe it or not, the best pony is best pony. There you go. I've dodged the answer. Who is my best pony? I'll leave it up to you to work out here why I'm actually a Doctor Who's mascot suitor. So you've seen the Doctor Who's one in the previous presentation. That was me. I've also got built myself one for Songbird Serenade as well. I also built the Britannia one that you saw as well in the previous one as well. So I like a lot of ponies. I'm overrunning, but I think Jez, I think the people have told me that it's not critical for the time here for the roll up. Okay, so but I will say I'm going to close it off in 1 minute. So final set of questions. Okay, 5. We're just waiting for Amidst and Libres to finish them. Okay, right. Well, I think at this point I'm going to call it an afternoon for me here, and I hope you found the presentation of interest